With the fall of the demoness Tadaka, the immediate threat to the forest is gone. This victory confirms for Sage Vishwamitra that the young prince is ready to handle a much greater level of responsibility. The sage begins bestowing the Divyastras, celestial weapons that harness cosmic forces. These aren't standard military tools. They are spiritual powers rarely granted to mortals. But this power comes with a code of conduct. Vishwamitra explains that a warrior's true strength is measured by restraint. These weapons are never to be used for personal ego, only to stop those who exploit the weak. As he masters the mantras for these weapons, the royal prince begins his transition into a protector. He now carries the tools necessary to face the much larger conflicts brewing on the horizon. Their training is interrupted by a messenger from King Janaka. He brings word that the kingdom of Mithila is hosting a Swayamvar for Princess Sita. King Janaka has declared that only a man who can lift and string the ancient, immovable bow of Lord Shiva will be worthy of Sita's hand. Vishwamitra commands Ram and Lakshman to follow him to the city. He wants them to see this artifact for themselves. Ram departs for Mithila, carrying his newly acquired celestial weapons to meet a challenge centered on the most famous divine weapon in the world. The group reaches the banks of a massive, rushing river. Here, Vishwamitra explains that these waters are tied to a debt Ram's own ancestors have been trying to pay for centuries. This is the Ganga, but her presence on Earth began with a tragedy involving King Sagara and his 60,000 sons. During a royal ritual, the god Indra stole Sagara's horse and hid it in the underworld, right next to the meditating sage Kapila. When the princes found the horse, they mistakenly attacked the sage. Kapila's anger was so intense that his gaze instantly reduced all 60,000 of them to piles of ash. Their souls remained trapped in those ashes, unable to find peace unless they were washed by the waters of the heavenly Ganga, a task that seemed impossible for any mortal king to achieve. It took generations of effort before King Bhagiratha finally succeeded. Through relentless penance, he convinced the heavens to release the river down to the earth. But a direct fall from the heavens was a physical impossibility. The sheer kinetic energy of a celestial river would crush the world upon impact. To break the fall, Lord Shiva stood beneath the descent, catching the massive torrent in his matted hair to dissipate the impact before letting the water trickle down to the ground. The river eventually flowed over the ashes of Sagara's sons, finally granting them peace. Today, the Ganga remains a physical site for spiritual cleansing, just as it was for Ram's ancestors. Ram stands as the current successor to this legacy of high-stakes sacrifice and divine intervention. As they continue, they enter a landscape that feels frozen in time. The ashram is silent and gray, but a single green tulsi plant continues to grow in the center of the rot. This was the home of Sage Gautam and his wife Ahilya. Years ago, Indra used a disguise to trick Ahilya, leading to a violation of the home's sanctity. When Gautam discovered what happened, his reaction was absolute. He cast a curse that turned his wife into a stone statue, leaving her trapped for centuries in this desolate place. Vishwamitra leads Ram to the statue. When the prince's foot touches the stone, the curse finally breaks. The gray landscape recedes as Ahilya is restored to her human form. In a place defined for centuries by a rigid punishment, Ram's presence introduces a different outcome. He demonstrates that his power isn't just for combat, but for restoring what was thought to be lost. Leaving the silence of the ashram behind, they reach the gates of Mithila. The city is alive with color and preparation for the upcoming contest. Inside the palace, Princess Sita is finishing her prayers. She is looking toward the same ancient bow that has remained unmoved for generations. The prince who just brought life back to a stone must now test his strength against the weight of a god's weapon. Can Ram succeed where every other king has failed? Subscribe to Rahasya Gatha and join us in the next episode for the legendary Swayamvar of Mithila.